to me, Fatima Gould, with messages of hope. And I am so excited to be on location at Whole Village with my great friend, Carrie Rubel. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi, Fatima. I'm so glad you came up today. This is great.
How are you?
Welcome. I'm well, very well.
You look well.
I'm happy.
You look happy.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great conversation today because you're an amazing human being and I love what it is that you're doing with your life now, you know? And so, with that, tell us about yourself and tell us about what it is you're doing here.
Okay. I'm at Whole Village, and I've recently, 2 years ago, I moved up to an intentional community. We're a 195-acre farm that is working to, really, we all envision a world that's transformed, where the world is regenerative, it's just, it's sustainable, and it works for everybody. So I've moved up here, and I recently went on a hiatus from my business so that I can focus on the environment, on people, and on creating a planet that is healthy and vibrant, regenerative, and the Eden that we actually live in.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that word, the Eden that we actually live in. So what was your business?
My business was strategic coaching and consulting, and I still work with some people and organizations to help them realize their outcomes.
Oh, nice.
Using communication skills and practices and reverse engineering all of their plans.
Nice. Was that all you did?
That's the sum of it.
That's the sum of it? Okay, cool. I know you did the massage.
Yeah, before COVID, I had a wellness company for 20 years. COVID completely put it into a coma, and I let it go to focus on where I am now.
Nice. Okay, so out here in the nice, clean, fresh smelling air and just being back to nature, it gives me a feeling of hope. So what does hope mean to you?
Hope, for me, hope is the capacity to look ahead and see an outcome that might be fundamentally different from something we're looking at. You know, be it right now, there's a lot of anxiety and frankly despair about the ecology, the planet, the state of the world. And hope is envisioning something different and keeping it in action, having conversations about it as to what is possible, as opposed to the worst possible scenarios.
What is possible? So hope means to you what is possible.
Yeah.
I really like that. So people watching can, just feel it. And with all the nice backgrounds that we have here, we can look at a world where we can create something that is possible.
Yeah, and it's what we want.
So nice,
Yeah.
so nice. My next question for you, Carrie, is what are you doing to promote hope in the world?
Promoting hope. Well, we create at Whole Village an opportunity for people to engage with the land, with community, and with work on the land. And being in action, whether it's planting seeds, harvesting, processing, cleaning up, creating gardens, whatever. It could be chopping firewood and stacking it, has people understanding that there's actions we can take together, that as a community we are so much more powerful and able to be effective to do something than on our own. So this entire project promotes hope for people, from hope for ecological answer to what's going on the planet, hope for community, and the hope for the future for humanity as a species, that here we're working together in the consensus model. So everything we're doing is just resilient and consensus.
And it's like, to me, being here in this open space really does promote that for me. I like nature. I like being outside. We saw the water, we saw the land around the water, the docks, everything. And the fresh air does give me that feeling of hope. It's like, this is what life should be like for us. This is it right here in this moment. So tell us, now that you've laid out this whole thing about hope and the land, what was your personal journey from hell to hope to even bring you to a place like this?
I was living in Toronto, a big city, for quite a number of years. And it's a great city, and my life was great. But in the background was a constant, very high level of anxiety. Crime was going up in the city. These massive climate, what do we call them? Tragedies, the fires, the floods, the droughts. Watching them on the news constantly. And then coronavirus, like that was the tsunami for the whole anxiety. Sitting back in my house by myself, looking at this news was, I don't know how to call it hell, but maybe hell is that level of despair and resignation. Maybe that is a good definition of it.
100%.
What I found was being in community and spending time with people who are also engaged in building community to create something, to create healthy, regenerate land projects, community gardens, was lifting me out of that sense of despair and fight fatigue. Like, how many places can you fight on? There's so many places right now that need attention. But working towards, with a very specific goal, a transformed world, where regeneration and justice are the key components of it. And that's what's created here. So when I came up to visit this place, I connected right away with that vision and mission of Whole Village and got involved in various projects to gardening. When I'm in the dirt, either composting or gardening, turning soil, making beds, whatever it is, I'm dirty and sweaty and happier as can be. That's where hope comes in. That's where peace comes in. But working with other people generates this level of hope and a level of possibility that I never get when I'm by myself.
And that's an amazing journey, especially for those who are listening. You know, the big city is giving you that anxiety. It's giving you that, I don't want to get out of bed, the doom and gloom of life and the despair. And for you to just, because I remember when you're saying, Fatima, this is what I'm going to give it all up, sell my house in the city. Because where you live in the city was ridiculous for traffic. I would come there and it would take me longer to get to your house, inner city driving, than it took me to get down the highway to your house. And I get that anxiousness, I get that anxiety. And for people who are just looking and they're in the middle of that journey right now, of that hell, of that anxiety, coming to some place like this, you know, every once in a while, maybe to do a tour, maybe to do a retreat, maybe to volunteer, would help them relieve that anxiety.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That's so cool. So I want you to tell us, what did you learn from that inner city journey of hell to coming out here to this big, vast hope? What were some of the lessons?
You get really present to the cycle of life when you're here. You know, I just saw, while you were speaking, a frog jump out of the sand into onto the beach here. And I learned, being in community all the time, is that what I've learned in connecting with other people, other communities who are either activists, farmers, people coming in the city, is that there are more people who are anxious, really anxious, and committed to having a world that works for everybody than there are the people who are sustaining businesses that are hurting the planet. Now maybe there's a lot that we can do together to make a phenomenal difference in the world. And Margaret Mead said, never doubt a small group of people can change the world. Because indeed, that's the only thing that's ever made change, is a small group. And I understand that it takes 3% of the population to affect a massive change. Now, how close are we to 3% saying no more, make ecocide a crime on the planet? Because globally, we're all in this together. This is a global, I don't want to say fight, because it's got such a negative connotation. And I think hope comes from creating conversations as to what we want to create and not focusing on what we don't want to create.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And that is such a good lesson that, you know, community is where we are at. When we can get this world, like you said, 2%, 3%?
3%.
3% of the world moving in the same direction. I mean, look at it this way. COVID shut down 100% of the world. Boom.
Just like that.
Just like
Yeah,
that. So
it can happen.
a lesson that we can learn.
Yeah.
If COVID, one virus can come and shut down 100% of the world, what would it take for 3% of the population to come together,
Absolutely.
promote community?
Just this summer, we've seen enough events going on that are overwhelming the societies they're in, whether it's the fires across Europe, fires and earthquakes, fires and heat waves, droughts, floods. Any one of those will overwhelm the society. You put 2 together, 3 on top, and society starts to collapse. So are we willing to stay that dependent? Or is it time to really look and figure out together, how can we shift things to make things sustainable, to regenerate the land so it's not burning? What do we need to do to pull it back and take us on a different trajectory? We have all the answers. We know what needs to get done.
That's a good question to leave the viewers with right now. What can you do to be part of that 3%? So Carrie, what kind of actions can people take to increase their hope?
Well, taking more actions. And I guess really what I mean by that is having conversations with people, engaging wherever you're committed with more and more people and having more conversations that create the outcome we want. It's really easy right now to spend a lot of time complaining and noticing how wrong things are, and that creates more despair. But shifting into conversations that create something, even as simple as a garden, a backyard garden, a balcony garden, a community garden, anywhere where people can get engaged. So the more conversations we have to create the outcome we want, the more hope and the more positivity we have.
That's so cool. And then just increasing that and upping a level. You gave opportunities, which is like doing the community gardens and a kitchen garden and just gardening in general. So what else do you see that people can do to increase that hope?
Right. So the hope with ecology and the state of the world, the planet, there's so many areas. And I don't think it matters where we start, whatever you're passionate about. For me, it's food and food security. There's a lot of disruptions going on, and the supply chain broke down a lot last year. So I look at here, we have a community garden that feeds 25 people, and there's another garden that feeds another 30 people from our CSA farmer, our community share agriculture program. And that's my passion, and that's in soil health. Okay? Bringing the carbon level down in the planet, in the atmosphere. We know how to do that. Scientists do know how to do that. And each one of us can make a difference by planting a garden and creating healthy soil, not having empty spaces, creating at the level of community gardens, and making sure that there's more trees planted, more plants, more food available for people through programs. Certainly planting more trees. And then second is to support with our dollars the kinds of businesses and programs and activities that are what we want, and stop feeding our money to companies and organizations that are creating this world we don't want. If you take all of the money away, they will stop this bad behavior. There's no profit in it, it stops. So, we look at how we engage with food. Are we buying chicken from a factory farm that's abusive to the animals or livestock that creates this unbelievably gross amount of fecal matter that goes into the rivers and the lakes and causes environmental problems? Or are we buying chickens, eggs, beef, poultry, pork from farms that regenerate soil, that use to make compost, to make better soil, healthier soil? That's our choice. We have the power to take that action every single time we go out to get some.
Because I know for when I talk to people about that, because I've had this conversation so many times about, are we going to buy organic? Are we going to go to the farm? Are we going to buy chickens that are raised properly? All of that. And what it comes down to, and when you mentioned it before, is the dollars. Where are we spending our money?
Yeah.
And for you got single families out there, or single moms raising their kids, and they'll go, okay, do I buy this one or this one? This one is cheaper, and then I can buy that and feed my family because I don't have that income. Or I could pay more and have my family live longer, better, more healthier lives. So it's a real conversation out there when you're spending those dollars.
Yeah, and there's such a false sense of what food is worth. When you can go to a big chain drive-through and fill your tummy up for $4 versus something healthy that's more money. We've lost sight of what the real cost of producing food is by not looking, and by not looking at the cost to our health, to the soil, to how long we can grow on this planet, of chemicals, of cheap labor, of farmers. A lot of farmers are living starvation wages, but they're committed, so they'll keep doing it. Food isn't cheap. So there are other ways that society can support people who don't have that income to comfortably make those choices. So does it have to be either or?
Right.
Or is there something else possible?
I believe that there's something else possible, especially when I get older and I realize that the food that they ate that was high in sugar. So when you go to school, you can't concentrate,
Sure.
You get hyperactivity, but we are giving them the processed food, and we're giving them the snacks that are made from sugar, which is quicker, faster, better to even. But if we took like a time on a Saturday or a Sunday and prepared them, freeze them,
Sure.
like back in the day when I had my kids, I would puree their foods, put it in a freezer, and then warm them up, right? And give it to them. And it was healthy as opposed to buying the off-the-shelf full of sugar stuff.
Yeah.
So you're right. We can really look at where we're spending our dollars and what it is that we're choosing for the longevity of the planet and our lives.
Absolutely. And is it cheaper in the long run? I don't think so. I think we've seen that over and over
already,
again.
yeah.
But there are other ways to get healthy food, and part of it's growing our own. We're growing in community. So the more conversations we have with people, the more opportunities we get to create and engage in.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the last things that you want to say to me, say to the people out there? Tell us, what is your last thing that you would want to say if you looked at it from the transitions that you've made in your life? It's like a later in life thing for you to be doing all
Sure.
of this and having it realized. What do you want to tell us?
To make choices. We're eco-anxiety is a real thing. Statistically, there's a phenomenal amount of people, especially young people, that we're leaving this planet too, who are looking at what's going on. And it seems to me like a reasonable reaction to what's going on because it's real. So I leave you with the question of where can you, Fatima, where can you and your family make choices that support the world you want to see and cut off supporting the profits and the system that's hurting this planet and leaving it as a planet you don't want to leave your kids, future grandkids to in your life? Where can you make some choices?
100%. And I'm going to really take a look at that, look at the food, look at where I'm spending my money, getting into making that kitchen garden that I've always wanted to do. And as the younger person, my mother is like, and grandmother in that kitchen garden, I'm like, yeah, it's too much work. But now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, that would be the thing to do. Go out there and form that kitchen garden, make that kitchen garden, and use the things that I can grow in there to feed and sustain myself, right? And I'm looking at you out there. What is it? And I'm posing a challenge to those who's watching the video and those who are going to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm asking you, what is it that you can do to sustain this planet? What choices can you make? Where are you spending your money? What about the food? What about the cars that you drive? All those things that we can change. I'm asking you out there, Where can you look? What are one of the first things that you can do to take that action to make this world a better place for future generations? So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Put that comment in, put that answer in the comment so we can all know, and then we can follow up with each other. But first, lastly, Carrie, I want you to tell us, where can we find you? Can we come to this farm, do a tour? Like, how can we get to come here?
Right.
Volunteer what?
The web address is wholevillage.org. And there's a lot of information on there. And once a month, now that restrictions have lifted, and as long as that holds, we have an orientation every couple of months, which is a 3-hour afternoon. And we also have a full day, we call them a work bee, coming up August 28th. And where it's a full day of helping out, have a lunch, an organic farm, it's almost all from the farm, lunch with everybody here, and then the volunteer group that comes up that day. And we have some other volunteer programs going forward.
Nice.
So writing at info@wholevillage.org will get you there.
And then do you guys, like I was thinking, for those people who like to do retreats or, come outside, this would be a good place to do yoga, breathing exercises. Like, do you guys do retreats here too?
Sometimes there are people who do organize retreats, absolutely. And those will go on the website. It's because of COVID, we just stopped all of that.
Okay.
And we're right in the middle of the busy season for farming and gardening. But there's a Qigong retreat going on here today.
Nice.
With a group, yeah.
Nice. So, Carrie, I want to thank you for coming on Messages of Hope and just letting us know about the environment. Because before you, I didn't even know that this type of living even existed or it was possible. I knew about the community gardens because my mom had one. I know about the other gardens because my family's all into that. But thank you for enlightening us and letting us know and challenging me really, is, Fatima, look at what you're doing with your food. What are you putting in your body? So I just want to thank you for that. I want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, turn on your notification button so you'll know whenever Messages of Hope is on, and look for all the other contributors. There is people who do meditation, people who do tapping. There's so much on this channel for you and everyone else. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you have a super fantabulous day now.